Right now, it is time for us to take a look at the pages of Main Street Magazine. We are joined every week by Thor and Kristen Dowder, and we take a look at what's going on. You can also find them, of course, not only at various free pickup locations throughout our tri-state region, but their companion website, which is mainstreetmag.com. Good morning, Thorin.
Good morning. How are you?
I am absolutely fine because it looks, we've had a nice spate of weather, so I've been able to get a lot of things done at the house, and the grass is green, and what the heck, we're coming upon the unofficial start of summer, which is Memorial Day weekend.
It snuck up on us.
It did, but it's nice I'm glad that it snuck up on us. We needed it.
Yes, we did. I've been loving it too.
So now, but even though we're at May 25th. You already have your June issue probably in the books and getting set to print, right?
We're already working on July. The June went to the printer last week. We're expecting to hopefully get it before the weekend so we can try to get it out in at least some locations by the weekend.
People don't realize that. It's just that you mentioned that you're working on July. When we put together certain shows here that are weekly shows, Bird Note and all those things, we do them a week ahead of time. We get that information a week ahead of time. So by the time I'm finishing setting all those up and moving them to the correct locations, I feel like I'm in that month. Does that ever happen to you where all of a sudden, for some reason, you transpose yourself and it may be May, but you're working on July and you're already thinking about July?
It's happened a few times that I've had to say, wait a second, what month is it? Because we are sometimes working, a couple months in advance on things. And of course, with our themes and with so many writers, I have a big book that has each month and we try to plan stuff out. So sometimes I literally have to stop myself and wait a second, what day is it? What month is it? What are we working on? And so when you and I talk on Tuesdays, I sometimes have to refresh my memory about the stories that are in that issue because I'm 2 or 3 months ahead of time.
And then what's interesting, what is the theme for next month?
June has no theme. It's just we always just do a general fun summer stuff or just interesting stories. So it's a real mixture of just all kinds of stories.
Now, there's a story that we didn't talk about since we've been talking about what's actually in the May issue, and that's a story by Caleb May, Nature's Road Trip, because of course you're dealing with road trips, but it's great because it's all about the animals and in nature itself.
Well, it's about he's an avid birder, and he's actually going to be going to college in the fall to study bird-related things. I forget the name of the exact term for it, but his piece here is about migratory birds in particular, and the ones how and why they migrate and when they come up here and what kind of to look out for. So if you have any interest in birds, he mentions a few. We have a couple of pictures of a few of them that you might spot in our area. Now because he wrote this, early in late March, early April. Projecting it to obviously be in the May issue, but in this time frame, what birds have migrated back up here.
It's interesting when you talk about birds. Birds are kind of like the weather. Remember when the Weather Channel first started, everybody thought it was for nerds, but everybody tunes into the Weather Channel. Well, birding has really come a long way, and just about everybody is interested especially after the winter's over, a long winter, when they see really the first sign of where life is going to start to grow. People love to spot birds and try to identify them.
There are so many beautiful birds around here. My mom has many bird feeders, and in the winter, we love to see them. The cardinals and the blue jays are pretty aggressive, and just seeing the birds. And right now, I've enjoyed seeing a lot of the colorful ones that we didn't see a couple of weeks back, let alone a few months back.
Margaret Roach, who does a way to garden for us, she introduced me to the folks that have a show called Bird Note. And that has become one of our most popular features. It's only a minute and a half, a minute 45 minutes long, and it's on 2 or 3 times a day. But it's an integral part. Now, it's funny. I can actually see the visible difference now with the pandemic appearing to breaking, and we're into the warmer weather. In your issue, we talked about the e-bikes in Cornwall Bridge in West Cornwall, and we just signed on a new business in West Cornwall, which is three guys ski and ride, and they're located at the former Usler's store in West Cornwall, and it is a ski and ride shop that's got clothing in it. So we're seeing new businesses open. There's going to be that new business in Millerton where you can get chicken and waffles. The restaurants are starting to come back. Lime Rock Park is open, and so now if you look around, you see once again all these fancy cars here. Are you witnessing the same thing that I'm witnessing, which is really basically a welcome back to almost normalized living?
Um, yes and no. I mean, a lot has changed, even though we're so tired of hearing that. But obviously, with just like you, we deal with so many businesses who advertise with us, and just clients of mine. And in addition to my role in the business community in Millerton, um, it's there are certain challenges that I think all of us want to get back to some sort of normal, but there are certain challenges. For example, I'm on the economic development committee for the town of Northeast, and we had a meeting last week, our first meeting, and Ron Hicks from Dutchess County was there. And one of the things that we were talking about, because we were trying to come up with a plan of things that are needed or wanted in Millerton, the great area. And Joanne Scazzo of Country Gardeners Flourish, one of the things she said is, we can't, all of us in this room, she said, and pointed to all the business folks there, are looking to hire. And that's a big issue. You see, a lot of businesses are, and we in the magazine, a lot of our businesses couldn't advertise or have pulled back because they're short staffed and they can't keep up. And there's such a demand, like a lot of the landscapers, gardeners, contractors, as you might know as well, are so booked that they are turning work away. So that's an interesting phenomenon that I've felt, in the last 6 months or so from businesses. And now it's gotten worse with, they can't find people willing to work.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because I was interviewing Skip Barber yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and Lime Rock is back to operating normally, following some of the rules that they have to follow. But he said the same thing, that it's tough to get those employees back like they had before the pandemic. And for me, there was a portion of a tree that came down at my house about a month ago. Well, things are so backed up, the rest of the tree is still there because there's so many of those type of businesses that are once again packed up well in advance. So it's an interesting, I won't call it a conundrum, but a clash of circumstances where we're coming out of the pandemic, and yet it's still tough for businesses.
You kind of, I feel like I'll do this on a fan, if you will, that if we look at businesses that that are either end of the spectrum, usually the ones who advertise are kind of more centered. The ones who are on the far left, and I'm not talking politically left or
Yeah.
right, just geographically. The ones who are on left, are maybe a single proprietor, one or two, where money is tight and they may not have a lot of advertising budget or dollars. The ones on the right are doing fantastic and don't need it to advertise even. So like for you and me, our sweet spot is that center. Well, due to the pandemic, that has narrowed quite a bit because now the ones who were already pretty busy are even busier, and the ones who were struggling, like the restaurants last year, they had even they were closed. There was no income. So it's been very interesting. But as you were just saying, there are a lot of businesses that have popped up during this time, or a lot of businesses that have relocated, or with all the folks working from home and conducting business from home. So it's switched the dynamic. And as we obviously, every single one of us knows that the real estate market here is absolutely crazy, and the influx of people. Well, with that comes higher demand for everyone's at home. They want to do stuff to their homes, or they just bought a house. They need X, Y, and Z. So all those service sector businesses are just, in our June issue, Christine interviewed Jim Crisp of Crisp Architects in Millbrook, and one of his quotes is, they are telling people, "I'm sorry, we're booked out. If you can't find anyone, call me back in September."
Yeah, it's a very unique, it's a very, very, very unique time. But I noticed something that you do that we've done all along here at Robin Hood Radio. We have packages for people to become underwriters and to get their message across that range anywhere from $50 to $100 a month for a pretty inclusive package. And I see that you are doing the same. You are doing the same thing. You're opening up for a very, very reasonable price, a chance for businesses to get the word out once again, and it doesn't cost them an arm and a leg.
Since I started, one of the things that I did and made sure of was that our advertising rates was some of the most affordable. Since we've been doing this for over 8 years, my print prices have gone up a number of times, but I didn't increase my rates until I had to about 2 years ago, and I just went up slightly just to try to help offset some of that print expense, the paper cost. But since we launched our website 3 years ago as well, we have advertising on there. But $51 a month is our lowest rate. We have many different options, but $51, that's a couple of cups of coffee. But we try to work with people, and we try to, if people have a certain budget, depending on their business, we try to give them the advice. Like, if it makes more sense for them to take an eighth page versus a half page, I'll tell them that. Because just for you, as for me, if they succeed, that means I succeed. So if they find that they get more feedback from their ad done a certain way, I'm happy to help with that, because there's more chance that they will advertise again and get hopefully more business that way.
It's interesting because that's what we do here. We do have a basic rate card, but when people call or stop by and they want to underwrite and they want to know how much it costs, the first thing we say to them is, what can you afford to invest for 2 or 3 months to see if it'll work? We build a package about what people can afford. And I think you do the same thing to get people and to help businesses, because you're right. If we want to keep operating our businesses here, we're going to have other businesses that help support us.
Exactly. I mean, you provide, there's a radio show for free. Same with that, my website, my printed magazine, they're all free. And I've had people through the years say, how can you afford to give this away? And because the quality of the paper, the quality of the printing, it's expensive. And I say it's thanks to my advertisers, and I always try to give a shout out to them. And I always say, if you want to thank me, thank my advertisers. Give one of them a call. Think of going into their store or buying their service. That's why you're getting this piece of media. So I always say that, and it's it is thanks to them, because otherwise we couldn't be able to do what we do.
No, absolutely. Well, Main Street Magazine, once again on the web, mainstreetmag.com, and the new issue for June will come out the next week to 10 days.
Hopefully within the next 5 days, but yes, let's just say in the next 7 days.
All right, Thorin, have a great week, and we'll speak to you next week.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Thorin Christian Daughter from Main Street Magazine here on Robin Hood Radio. Once again, you can find them at mainstreetmag.com.